The offseason in Philadelphia is heating up in a way that feels anything but quiet, even after the front office tried to set expectations. When Howie Roseman spoke about the team's approach, the message sounded clear. The priority would be taking care of their own, locking up core players, and avoiding flashy, headline-grabbing moves. The focus, at least publicly, is stability. Build from within. Extend the foundation. Keep the locker room strong. But if there is one thing we have learned over the years, it is that you can never completely rule anything out when it comes to this front office. Because even while preaching patience, Philadelphia has quietly been connected to one of the biggest defensive names potentially available, Max Crosby. Reports indicate that multiple teams are monitoring his situation, and the Eagles are believed to be among those keeping a close eye on any shift in availability. With free agency about to begin and teams currently holding the most flexibility they will have all year under the salary cap, the timing of a potential move would make sense. If something were to happen, it would likely happen soon. Now, let's be realistic. The rumored asking price for Crosby is massive. We are talking about 2 first-round picks and a starting caliber player. That is a steep cost for any franchise, especially one that prides itself on building through the draft and maintaining long-term flexibility. Philadelphia has consistently valued its draft capital, and surrendering that kind of haul would represent a significant philosophical shift. Financially, the move could potentially be structured in a way that softens the blow over the next couple of seasons, but eventually those cap numbers stack up. Big contracts already sit on the books, and future extensions are looming. Still, the possibility lingers because elite pass rushers do not grow on trees. Crosby is the type of relentless presence who can change games on his own. His motor never stops, his production is consistent, and he sets a tone defensively that aligns with the identity this franchise has traditionally embraced. Even if the odds remain slim, the mere fact that Philadelphia is doing its due diligence should not surprise anyone. That is simply how business is handled at this level. Complicating matters is the very real chance that a division rival could get aggressive. The Dallas Cowboys have been mentioned as a potential suitor, and that alone adds tension to the situation. Crosby has ties to players in that locker room, and Dallas possesses draft assets that could help facilitate a deal. If a bidding war were to begin and a rival appeared close to landing a player of that magnitude, the pressure on Philadelphia to at least explore every angle would intensify. Sometimes competition within the division is enough to spark unexpected aggression. At the same time, another storyline refuses to fade: the ongoing speculation surrounding A.J. Brown. Trade rumors have swirled, and while both sides have publicly expressed a desire to continue together, there is a noticeable difference this time compared to past off-seasons. Teams around the league have reportedly inquired. The valuation discussions alone tell you that there is at least some level of openness to listening, even if moving him remains unlikely. The price attached to Brown, should a trade even be entertained, is understandably high. He is one of the premier receivers in the league, a physical force who commands defensive attention on every snap. Philadelphia understands his value, not just statistically but culturally. He brings an edge. He brings leadership. He changes how opponents design their coverage schemes. Letting that walk away would require an offer that completely reshapes the future of the franchise. And yet, part of the intrigue lies in the fact that front offices must prepare for every scenario. Exploring potential landing spots, evaluating draft compensation, projecting cap consequences. That is all part of responsible management. None of it guarantees movement. It simply reflects preparation. From the outside, it can look chaotic. Internally, it is calculated. If, and it remains a significant if, Brown were ever to be moved, Philadelphia would face the daunting task of replacing elite production. One name that surfaced as a theoretical possibility is Mike Evans, the longtime star of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Evans has built a resume that places him among the most consistent receivers of his generation, recording over 1,000 receiving yards in each of his first 10 seasons. His size, catch radius, and red zone dominance make him a constant threat. However, age and durability concerns cannot be ignored. Entering his early 30s and coming off an injury-shortened campaign, Evans represents both opportunity and risk. When healthy, he can still tilt a game. But availability is everything in this league, and soft tissue injuries have followed him in recent years. Any team considering that move would need to weigh short-term upside against long-term sustainability. All of these external conversations also shine a brighter light on Devonta Smith. Internally, there is growing belief that his ceiling has not yet been fully reached. Despite operating for much of his career as the second option, Smith's efficiency metrics paint the picture of a player capable of explosive growth if given expanded opportunity. His route-running precision, body control, and ability to create separation are elite traits that often get overshadowed by volume discussions. Within the building, there is a sense that the next evolution of the offense could unlock another level for him. Increased motion, creative alignments, and diversified route concepts may allow Smith to showcase the complete spectrum of his skill set. Even if Brown remains, there is confidence that Smith's role can expand naturally as the system evolves. If Brown were to depart, that expansion would accelerate dramatically. Meanwhile, the uncertainty does not end at wide receiver. The future of Dallas Goedert is also a major storyline. Financial implications hover over the situation, as moving on without a plan would create significant dead cap charges. There have been whispers suggesting a separation is possible, but there is also mutual interest in finding common ground. Negotiations at this stage of the offseason can pivot quickly, and much may depend on how other dominoes fall across the roster. Should Philadelphia need alternatives at tight end, two intriguing names have entered the conversation. One is David Njoku, an athletic veteran capable of contributing both as a receiver and a blocker when healthy. Injuries have interrupted his momentum at times, but his physical profile fits what this offense demands. The other possibility carries a heavy dose of nostalgia: Zach Ertz. A franchise icon returning for one more chapter would undoubtedly energize portions of the fan base, though age and recent injury history complicate that vision. As free agency approaches, every scenario feels interconnected. A defensive splash could influence offensive budgeting. A wide receiver decision could reshape the tight end market. Cap management, draft positioning, and divisional dynamics all weave together into one complex puzzle. What is clear is that Philadelphia stands at a crossroads filled with high-impact possibilities, and the coming days promise to redefine expectations in ways few anticipated just weeks ago. As the speculation continues to swirl, the tight end position feels like one of the most pivotal pressure points on this roster. The situation surrounding Dallas Goedert is layered, and it is not simply about talent. It is about timing, cap allocation, and how the organization envisions the structure of the offense moving forward. Goedert has been a steady, physical presence for years, someone who can stretch the seam while also doing the dirty work in the run game. That dual-threat ability is not easy to replace. But the financial realities of the league force difficult conversations, and if both sides cannot find common ground soon, the door to change swings open fast. If he were to hit the open market, the likelihood of him returning would shrink significantly. Teams around the league are always searching for tight ends who can stay on the field in every situation, and Goedert fits that description when healthy. The challenge for Philadelphia is the dead cap hit that would follow if he simply walked away. Absorbing that kind of financial penalty without securing value in return would sting, especially in an offseason already filled with major decisions. That is why there remains a genuine possibility that a reworked deal could be reached, one that balances short-term cap relief with long-term flexibility. But if negotiations stall, alternatives must be evaluated quickly. One name that has generated legitimate buzz is David Njoku. Physically, he checks nearly every box. He brings size, athleticism, and experience. At his peak, he can be a mismatch nightmare for linebackers and safeties, and he has shown flashes of being a reliable blocker in space. The concern, however, revolves around durability and recent production dips. Injuries have disrupted his rhythm over the past few seasons, and there is always risk when investing in a player who has struggled to stay consistently available. Philadelphia would need to structure any potential deal carefully, ensuring that the reward outweighs the gamble. Then there is the emotional storyline that refuses to fade. Zach Ertz returning to the city where he built his legacy would feel poetic. Few players in franchise history have delivered more iconic postseason moments, and his connection with the fan base remains strong. Even after battling a significant knee injury late last year, Ertz has made it known that he intends to continue playing. The question becomes whether sentiment aligns with strategy. At this stage of his career, he is no longer the dynamic, high-volume target he once was, and blocking has never been the defining strength of his game. Yet leadership, route intelligence, and red zone savvy still carry value. In a reduced role, paired with a younger draft pick, he could serve as both contributor and mentor. Speaking of the draft, that is another layer woven into all of this. The Eagles have traditionally believed in building from within, and this year's class offers intriguing prospects at tight end. Even if a veteran is signed, selecting a young player to develop behind him would make sense. The offensive evolution being discussed internally demands versatility. Tight ends must move, block in space, and threaten vertically. It is not enough to excel in only one phase anymore. While the tight end debate unfolds, the ripple effects from the wide receiver situation continue to shape the broader narrative. The organization's confidence in Devonta Smith is not subtle. Coaches and executives believe there is another tier waiting to be unlocked. His efficiency numbers already place him among the league's most dangerous playmakers when targeted, and there is a strong internal belief that an uptick in volume could elevate him into an even higher conversation. The anticipated schematic adjustments, including increased motion and creative alignments inspired by modern offensive systems, are expected to amplify his strengths. Even if A.J. Brown remains in Philadelphia, the offense may look different. The goal appears to be diversification rather than dependency, spreading the ball more unpredictably, forcing defenses to declare intentions earlier, and leveraging speed and precision over sheer physical dominance could redefine the unit's identity. That approach not only benefits Smith, but also opens space for complementary weapons to thrive. And yet, the Brown situation cannot be ignored entirely. The financial consequences of moving him would be significant, particularly before certain contractual thresholds. That reality alone makes a trade improbable unless an overwhelming offer materializes. Beyond numbers, there is the psychological factor. Brown is a tone setter. He carries emotion into every snap, and that energy resonates throughout the locker room. Removing that presence would create a void that cannot be measured purely in yards or touchdowns. On the defensive side, the shadow of Max Crosby still looms. Even if the probability remains low, the mere possibility forces planning. Philadelphia's identity has long been rooted in dominating the trenches, and adding another relentless edge rusher would only reinforce that philosophy. But doing so at the cost being discussed would reshape future drafts and contract structures. It becomes a balancing act between chasing immediate impact and preserving sustainable success. There is also the ever-present tension of divisional competition. The thought of a rival strengthening its roster with a player of Crosby's caliber adds urgency to internal evaluations. No team wants to watch a game-changing defender line up twice a year against them, especially one capable of wrecking carefully constructed offensive plans. FlyEaglesFly News family, smash subscribe and hit like. Your support keeps the freshest Philadelphia Eagles updates flying in. Drop your take in the comments, and let's talk birds. Inside the walls of the Philadelphia Eagles, the atmosphere is being described by sources as unusually heavy. What once looked like a unified locker room now feels fractured, according to whispers circulating among people close to the organization. No official statement confirms it, but the sense of unease has become one of the league's quietest yet loudest rumors. At the center of the speculation is Jalen Hurts. The quarterback is not accused of open conflict, but insiders suggest he may be increasingly isolated. Some teammates are said to be frustrated with the direction of the offense, while others question whether communication between leaders has lost clarity. These concerns are not being voiced publicly, yet they are reportedly shared in private conversations that point to a growing disconnect. Sources hint that the dissatisfaction is not limited to a single unit. Defensive veterans are believed to feel overlooked, while younger players are quietly unsure about their roles. The coaching staff, meanwhile, is rumored to be walking a fine line, attempting to preserve authority without escalating tensions. The result is a locker room where smiles remain for cameras, but trust may be wearing thin behind closed doors. Hurts' name keeps surfacing not because of poor play, but because leadership expectations around him are immense. Some believe he is carrying the weight of unresolved issues that extend beyond the field. Others argue he is becoming the symbol of a deeper organizational strain, one that reflects competing visions rather than personal failure. For now, everything remains officially calm. Practices go on, press conferences stay polished, and unity is the word of choice. Still, in league circles, the rumor persists that the Eagles are navigating an internal storm. Whether this tension fuels a stronger bond or widens the cracks is uncertain, but one thing is clear: the silence surrounding the situation is becoming harder to ignore. That's a wrap from FlyEaglesFly News. If you want the fastest Eagles updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Sound off in the comments. Let's talk birds.